One of the first things people ask about when I'm talking about owning a Model 3 is how do you manage long trips, or what will you do for road trips, and they just can't imagine having an electric vehicle. And right now I have to answer I don't know, because we haven't taken a long trip yet. So this will be my first long trip, going over 300 miles in our Model 3. So this will be trying to document that, what we're going through, and we'll see how it goes. So right now, as far as planning goes, we haven't really done a whole lot of planning. I think we're gonna just try to take it about as at our normal pace as we did with our gas vehicles, and we're going from Minneapolis to south of Omaha, Nebraska, and we'll stop in Albert Lea. There's a supercharge station there, and we usually stop there for a break anyway. And then probably once in Des Moines, and then once in Omaha before we get to our destination south of there. So that way I have some battery to make it back to Omaha. So I guess the other thing we did to prepare is we're charging it up as much as, as close to 100% as we can. We're going to be leaving early in the morning, and we live in an apartment and we don't have our own charging slot, so it's a shared charging space, and I don't want to leave it parked there overnight. So I think it'll be pretty close to 100% before I move it for the night. Yep. 100% charge already, so, but we're going to go do some errands before we go to bed. There we go, 99% charge. Well, we're getting out a lot later than we wanted to. We wanted to leave really early in the morning. But there's lots of noises last night keeping us up, from people making a lot of noise in the parking garage next to us, revving their motor and their loud exhaust. Anyway, just printed this little hook thing. Where's it at? Well, I can't really see it, I guess. Right here. Printed a hook. It's like a bag hook. I don't know that I'll need it for this trip, but just screwed right on a screw that's sticking out of that. So I'm just loading up the car ahead of time. Still got our suitcase and stuff, but I got my backpack, and then I had some other stuff in the trunk there. Here it is, some stuff in the trunk. Cooler in the back. Back full of stuff. Got my breakfast here. Sitting overnight and running an errand. We're at 93% battery. Alright. 9:01 a.m. Alright, so here we are. 93 miles from our destination, and it went down to 46% here in Albert Lea. But we were wondering if when it preconditions for supercharging, it seemed to have dropped a lot faster. So I wonder if that's part of it, or if it's just because of the cold weather or the speed that we were driving. Yeah, here we are in Albert Lea, so now it's time to charge at the Tesla supercharging station here. So Gotta pull that out pretty roughly. And the button's not working. Normally you're supposed to push that button and it'll open, but and it started charging. No, starting to charge. There it goes. I should get up to speed. Wow, 327 miles an hour charging rate. 45 minutes. Well, we'll see if we decide to wait that long or not. So we just stopped for, anyway, we got our snacks. We stayed in there for a little bit in the heat and ate. We actually stayed a little bit longer than we were planning. I think we're maybe going to do 20 minutes, but we were probably about a half an hour. Now it looks like it was estimating 45 minutes for a full charge, but it's the last 10% that seems to take the longest. It's like 20 minutes just for the last 10%, so it charged up pretty quickly. So I'm not gonna wait for it to finish that last 2%. Oh, the button worked for disconnect. No, I gotta hold it. Okay. Alright. Oh, get closed. So far, kind of a normal stay anyway. We usually end up staying here a little bit longer than we intended when we stop here, but it's good to stretch the legs. We just arrived at the charging station in Des Moines, and we have 24% battery. So what was that, 160 some miles, 165 miles from Alberta, but that's traveling somewhere within 10 miles of the speed limit. So the speed can really affect the mileage. But, about 150 miles. We're gonna charge it now. This spot of the charging station isn't close enough to the charging port. I guess there's not a sign here that says Tesla parking, so the Tesla cords are too short to span more than one parking spot. So I thought that's kind of, I don't know. You have to be right next to it, and you have to back in. If you don't back in, the cord won't even reach it. Yank that thing off of there. See, look at this. Even as close as I am, it barely even reaches. So you really have to be really close to it. So I wasn't parked exactly straight, but even so. See how quickly we charge here. About 55 minutes to 100%. The one thing I noticed is that we get clunking noises. I don't know if it's only when it's charging or just because it's warming up or cooling down. It's probably the metal expanding or something. But Let's see if we can capture one here. It just clunks every once in a while, but I bet it's probably the aluminum. So what do we got here? There's a tray that somebody printed. For the console, center console. A little gap here for the light in there. I should say I printed it, but somebody designed it. Our snacks fit in there. It's way easier to reach into than reaching all the way down there. And then this little cup holder thing, I printed it. It's supposed to be soft USB, but there's a lot of soft TPU. There's a bottle. Here's that clunking. Back on our way again, up to 84%, and it was about 20 minutes or so. But when we get back on the road, next stop will be Council Bluffs, Iowa, and we'll charge up there. It's about 141 miles. So here we are in Council Bluffs, our last charge. Get us enough juice before we get on down to our destination, which is I think about 25 miles south of here, and at least back to here. So I'll probably sit for about 20 minutes. So heading on out at 62%. Got 30 miles to go. Should be enough for a round trip. So on our way back, we're in Shelby, Iowa, at a charging station. Heading back up to Minneapolis. Oh good, the cord does reach. I was a little worried it may not reach. Here we are charging. Get up to at least 80-90% maybe. So far, some things that we learned during the trip. I'd used the charging adapter for the first time, and some older houses put all the GFI outlets on one circuit breaker. So at my dad's house, they had both bathrooms and then the outside plug on one GFI breaker. So when we plugged in a space heater into the bathroom, it tripped the breaker and we didn't realize it. Charged up a couple times in Council Bluffs. Well, really just once. Kind of twice in one trip, because we went up to give my brother-in-law a ride and take my nieces back to my sister's house, but gave it enough charge to give a ride in the test in this Model 3, and then we charged it up to 100% before we went back down. So I don't know, that all kind of worked out okay. You just have to plan a little bit more for your battery charging. Let's see, if we were going to stay at my dad's house longer, I guess we could have left it charging for longer, and that would have helped. The charging stations in Council Bluffs actually had quite a few Model 3s there. I don't know, I think there were 4 when we arrived for our last time charging there. So I guess not all charging stations are made equal. I don't know how to tell what version of charging station you're on. I was reading online something about version 1 or 2, or I guess they're up to charging station 3 can charge the fastest. but this one does not seem to be providing as much power as the other ones, which I've seen up to 150 kilowatt. This seems to be topping out at about 100 kilowatt. And I guess after the last update, we could be getting up to 200. I think it was over 200 kilowatt charging rate. But I just noticed something. There's a charging station right there where you'd have to pull in for that one. I was noticing that the one in Council Bluffs, there's more of those. I don't know what they are. They look like cooling towers or the converter towers. That white thing there. There were 2 or 3 of them. Here we are in Des Moines, West Des Moines. Our 40% just started charging. So, what is going on here? This is not a good. I don't know why it cut down. Not getting a great rate. So I don't know. I wonder if that lady was looking at us funny. Maybe we shouldn't have parked right next to her. I don't know. Is it sharing? Well, maybe she would tell us if. I'll have to look that up really quick. So yeah, we did just learn. It's not obvious. I mean, there's no signage that says it. Nothing tells you that the supercharger is only going to work at 100% rate. You know, if no other car is plugged in next to you, because I guess these are A and B, so it cuts it in half when one car is plugged in the A and the other one is in B. So that's something I guess that was a surprise, because so far we hadn't had to deal with that. We've been the only car.
This angry lady.
So yeah, thanks to the dirty looks of the Model X owner next to us. I guess it wasn't that dirty of a look, but still. She didn't look happy. Yeah, so one other thought is that if you're at a charging station and someone pulls up to you and there's open spots where it wouldn't cut it in half, just let them know. They may not know. They may be new Tesla owners. They may not have. Well, even if you're an old Tesla owner and you've never run into the situation before, you just may not know. But anyway, this charging port's busy enough anyways. It's like they're pretty much all full right now. We are at Albert Lee Trails charging station outside the Petro. So 17%. Charge up, go walk around, and wait for it to charge. So we just arrived home. We got about 49% battery left after charging up in Albert Lee. So we probably could have charged a lot less if we were in a hurry. But it would save 20 minutes or so. So plugging in at home, because might as well. It's been several weeks since we recorded the trip to Iowa. That was for Thanksgiving, and we have several Tesla superchargers on our way down to Council Bluffs, and of course on the way back up to Minneapolis, taking the 35 south to Interstate 80, over the Interstate 29. That was pretty smooth. Our travel time was relatively close to what it normally would be. We usually make at least 2 stops just for a break, maybe get some snacks, and then obviously we had to fill up. I think the most impact it had was it changed at least 2 of those stops. Could have probably charged more at my dad's house, and I could have gotten there with less battery if I wanted to, but it's nice to have some extra battery, especially if it's a new vehicle and you want to play around and give people some rides, show them the fun acceleration of your vehicle. I think one of the biggest surprises is the lack of immediate documentation around things like on the supercharger, knowing that the charging ports get split in half. But our route didn't have too much congestion at the charging ports. There was just one of them that was a little bit busy. So all in all, without having done very much research ahead of time, we kind of just jumped into owning a Tesla, an electric car. For me, the adventure is fun, learning this new infrastructure of charging electrically instead of being able to fill up with gas. But really, the experience for driving down was nice. The features of the car made the trip a little bit more pleasant when you've done it several times. The adaptive cruise control is really nice, and I did try to take advantage of the autopilot, which we don't have the full self-driving mode. We just have the regular autopilot. So, but that still was nice. It helps keep you in the lane and keep you focused on, or just give you an extra guide, I guess, a little bit more of a safety feature. So overall, pleased with the trip. Didn't change a whole lot for us, and that was a 300 plus one-way trip. I'm looking forward to taking more trips in it, and maybe I will try to log those and share my experiences with those as well.